Hey, it's gonna.
It's long.
Yeah, but it won't go long because my battery's almost
On
out.
Halloween night, when we went over to our friend's house and they had a trailer, trick or treating.
It is a
There
scary
was a bunch of
story.
kids there, and I wrote this story. They ask. Hillary asked me if I would tell this scary story because I always tell the kids stories. So I decided I would write this story out. So I wrote this story. Let's see if Joey and Braxton remember any part of this. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
You paying attention? The story of Woody Lala. You remember Woody Lala?
No.
Okay.
How long ago?
Woody Lala?
How long ago was this?
A long time ago. This is the story of Woody Lala and what happened to my two nephews, Joey and Braxton, exactly 7 years ago from this exact night on October 31st, 2008. But before I begin, I have to say that there are little kids here, and I don't want to scare any of them when I tell this story. So it's very important for each one of you to know that this story is 100% a true story and did actually happen
No.
to my two nephews 7 years ago when they lived in Lee Summit in a subdivision on a street named Dreamweaver Lane.
Did you lay on Dreamweaver Lane?
Does anyone know where Dreamweaver Lane is? Does anyone eat at the restaurant called La Fuente over on Douglas Street?
I did sometimes 2 times in a row.
That is right by where my nephews live on Dreamweaver Lane. Now let's get back to Halloween night on October 31st, 2008, 7 years ago. It was actually 2 days before Halloween night when it all started for Joey and Braxton. You see, Joey and Braxton were playing outside one night with their friends. I think they were playing Bloody Murder or something. Have any of your parents taught you that awesome game called Bloody Murder? It's fun. While they were playing, Joey was hiding in his backyard behind a tool shed. He heard some noises above him that sounded very strange. It sounded like huge bird wings flapping in the wind, like whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. And he saw something very faintly in the distance of the foggy night air, which looked like a giant bird with a human head on it. But it was far away and it was also really foggy, so it was difficult for him to see exactly what it was. And then in the distance, he heard this thing yelp out a sound like, it was a strange sound, like a bird, but with a human voice. It sounded like it was in pain. Joey got really scared and sprinted as fast as he could to where the rest of his friends were. He was panting because he was out of breath, and he could barely catch his breath because he had been running so fast. He asked his friends, including his little brother Braxton, if they had seen the thing flying through the air and making a crying sound. None of the other kids heard it and just laughed at Joey, calling him a scaredy cat. Joey felt embarrassed and just kept quiet for the rest of the night. The next night, which was one day before Halloween night, Braxton was lying in his bed reading a book called Goosebumps. Have any of you read the book called Goosebumps?
No, I'm reading a book right now.
Have you seen the movie called Goosebumps?
Yeah.
Now back to our story. Braxton was lying in bed reading Goosebumps. Goosebump.
Hunter.
When all of a sudden Braxton heard a pecking noise on his bedroom window. Braxton immediately threw his book on the bed, lunged out of his bed, fell to the floor, did a drop, stop, and roll right under his bed. He peered out from the corner underneath his bed to catch a glimpse of his window.
Isn't it stop, drop, and roll?
Wait, what did you say?
Drop, stop, and roll.
I got to know it. Stop, drop, and roll.
Okay, well, Justin doesn't even know it.
All
He
right,
peered out
continue.
from the corner underneath his bed to catch a glimpse of his window. Remember, this is true.
No.
And I know it's true because Braxton told me this story right after the day it happened. While looking up the window, lying underneath his bed, Braxton saw a face. I don't know. Maybe it wasn't a face. It kind of looked like a bird, but it had a face. Almost like it was a human bird or something. It had skin that was real rough and wrinkled, and it looked dirty. It had long, stringy hair, but as it looked closer into his window, it stuck its head there and pecked on his window with what looked like a bird's beak. And when it drew its eyes closer to the window and peered from the side with squinted eyes right at Braxton. Remember, Braxton is still lying underneath his bed while this is all going on. It looked right at Braxton, and he immediately saw that it had red eyes. In fact, we know now that this bird human head thing had eyes that changed colors depending on its mood. Red when it is mad, sometimes they are green, and when he is happy, his eyes are hazel. Then it flew away from Braxton's window into the distance, and Braxton was able to catch that it did in fact have wings. Big wings with big feathers and claws on its hands and feet. The next day was the big day. It was Halloween Day, which meant Halloween night. Braxton and Joey were very excited. Joey was dressed up as a soul taker, and Braxton was dressed up as a Ghostbuster.
That's my favorite movie.
It was a foggy night, drizzling just a little bit, and it was chilly. When you were outside on this Halloween night, you could actually see your breath in the frigid air. Oh, and the Royals were in Game 4 of the 2001 World Series. Joey and Braxton walked around their neighborhood for 4 hours trick-or-treating with their friends. They trick-or-treated forever, and they had huge bags of candy. It was a long night, and they were tired and ready to go home. This meant that they had to go in through the garage, which their mom and dad had left open for them. As Joey and Braxton walked through the garage, they heard something in the corner behind one of the cars. They heard shuffling and grunting, and then something got knocked down and landed on the floor. They knew something was in their garage that wasn't supposed to be there. They were terrified. Was it a person? Was it an animal? Was it a ghost? They slowly, and I mean very slowly, walked to the other side of the garage, walking around the first car, and then very, very slowly around the second car. They peered around the corner, and then they saw it. They saw what they never imagined that they would see. There was a big bird. No, it was a little boy. No, it might be a huge hawk. No, it was a human boy bird. It had wings, feathered wings, but with a human face that was wrinkly and dirty. It had hands and feet, but then its fingernails were claws. It had slitted eyes that were red, and it had super skinny legs that were shaking. It turned at my nephews and gave out a sharp, loud "Whee!" Joey and Braxton didn't know what to do, so they backed up a little bit. They were so scared. Braxton was crying even a little bit. And then Joey had a brilliant idea. Do you know what he decided to do?
Sit down, Aislinn.
He threw a Tootsie Roll on the ground over to this little boy bird. The boy bird snagged it up with its claws and tore the wrapper off the Tootsie Roll faster than you've ever seen. He pecked at it with its beak and then swallowed it in one gulp. As it ate the Tootsie Roll, its eyes actually turned hazel. You remember what hazel eyes mean? What?
Happy.
Joey asked the boy bird what its name is. It looked at both of the boys with a face that looked like it hurt. He looked sad mad. The boy bird chirped out a sound that said,
Woody Lala?
Braxton said, Woody Lala? And then the boy bird, I guess called Woody Lala, walked out of the garage and flew off the ground into the foggy, rainy Halloween night. Now it's 2015, and Joey and Braxton have never seen Woody Lala again. Seriously. There are times, though, to this current day, that Braxton swears he sees Woody Lala peering at him through his bedroom window. Braxton even says there are times when he hears the pecking on his window. But he has never seen Woody Lala up close since that Halloween night in 2008. Joey says that he occasionally sees something that looks like a human boy bird flying through the night sky. But he has also never had an up-close encounter with Woody Lala like he did that Halloween night in 2008. Now I believe that Woody Lala still lives somewhere in Lee's Summit and probably continues to fly around neighborhoods